Yeah, and welcome back. Hey, happy hump day. And all right, so today we're gonna look at a town hall in Nebraska that happened yesterday. Um, Honest Red sent this to me and said it was full of laughs. Because apparently Mike Flood, who is, I believe, a Republican congressman, if I'm correct. And apparently he is not doing, is rumored to not be doing any more town halls after this. So apparently it didn't go well. Needless to say, there have been like consistently across the United States when these town halls occur with a Republican member of politics, they seem to not go well at all. So we're gonna take a look at this today. This video's a little long. I don't know if we're gonna go through the whole thing, but let's dive into this shit because I feel like it's not. I feel like this isn't gonna go well. Like, if anybody's got any predictions, let me know. So we'll see.
Okay, thank you for joining Congressman Mike Flood's town hall here in Lincoln. My name is Kim Kwapnoski, a district representative for Congressman Flood, and it's an honor to host you here tonight. Before we begin,
Hi,
I want to
Kim.
explain the
I always treat these things like they're like AA meetings. Hi.
format. Very shortly, Senator Ballard will deliver a brief invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Lincoln City Councilman Todd.
We're gonna skip all that, but I'm gonna let her do her introduction.
Tom. After that, Jimmy Weber will lead us in God Bless America. After these items, Congressman Flood will deliver brief opening remarks before moving to questions and answers. There will be 2 question and answer options, and we'll alternate. There's an option to submit questions as you entered. The basket for questions is with Deb in the back or at the registration table. Deb, please, you raise your hand. Submit any remaining written questions to the basket during Congressman Flood's opening comments. If you haven't already, so just make sure you get them to Deb. There will also be an option to ask questions at the microphone. Taylor will stand at the front of the room on the left, your left, with the microphone. And Taylor—
Is it just me, or does like doing the Pledge of Allegiance and like having the anthem play at a fucking town hall meeting seem incredibly performative? Like that it doesn't mean anything. It's just performative propaganda. Like does that seem like that to anybody else?
Taylor will be standing right here. We will limit 30 seconds to help ensure we can get through as many people as possible. The microphone will go silent after 30 seconds. Taylor will have a timer that he will keep for you. Written questions and questions from the microphone will be alternated every 3 questions. I will draw questions from the basket. And so with that, we'll get to the point of the program and start with Senator Ballard, who will deliver the invocation.
Okay, so now we understand like how the questions are coming about, what the rules are, yada yada yada. I'm gonna skip ahead now to the actual remarks.
Ask for your
So
blessing on this town.
This is a state senator, but we don't care about what the state senator's saying, and we don't care about this guy. And they're doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh my God, this is the guy that they get. Please tell me this is the fucking anthem. Hold on, I have to play this. I have to see.
Jimmy Weber, it's an honor to see all you tonight. God bless America.
Oh, I just started. That's hilarious. What? Oh my goodness. What a silly fucking Oh, good God. I'm not gonna listen to the whole thing, but that's Jimmy Weber.
Land that I love. Stand beside
That is so funny, dude.
and guide her through the night with the light from above.
I'm gonna fucking have a heart attack, dude.
Oh, sweet.
Stop. I'm sick. That wasn't even the national anthem. Okay, he's thanking that guy. Alright, here we go. Huh! What the fuck? Oh my god, the clamp on the guitar, the acoustic guitar, the cowboy hat. Fucking holy shit. Alright, let's go.
This before in Columbus, and I said it in Seward. And between Seward and Columbus, we've had well over 900 people come to these events. And tonight, my guess is we'll be at 750. I want to thank UNL for allowing us to be in the Kimball Recital Hall. And the thing that I want to impress upon you is no matter if we agree or we disagree, the fact that you're here tells me that you care. You care about your state.
You're welcome. But also, this is this is like really gonna fly in the face when we find out how well this goes and how he's never gonna do one of these again.
You care about this city, and you care about this nation. And so I want to show you the respect, and I want to give you a short introduction to some of the things that I've been working on, and then I will take your questions. I will stay until 6:30 tonight. Actually, to be clear, 6:27. This is being broadcast, and we have a start cutoff at 6:27. So let's just get right into it. You know,
Welcome. Thanks for showing up. Like and subscribe.
I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate being here with you. And I will also tell you, I hold myself to the standard of being accessible. I did a telephone town hall last week. I'm here tonight. If you...
All right. Votes in the chat. How accessible do you think? This happened yesterday, right? Yeah, this was streamed August 4th. It is now August 6th. And like I said, rumor has it, this guy is not doing another town hall ever again.
If you have a question, every single person that calls into my office, I get a printout the next day. I read every single summary of every single call. It helps me do my job better. Sometimes I have the ability to call people back and say, hey, give me more information, or this looks like casework, let's take care of you. Tonight you're going to have that same opportunity. And if you do have something that requires the help of one of our staff members, Carter, can you wave your hand? He's around here. We've got Deb Shore, who's over here. She's the district director. We've got Monica's here. We'll get you directed over to them, and we'll take it from there, and we will follow up with you. I'm very pleased to say that every direct question that I've had from one of my town halls, I've been able to follow up directly and be able to solve whatever casework they had, or at least get them an answer. So with that, and I know this is probably going to be met with some resistance, I want the opportunity to tell you and talk to you about health care in the bill we just passed. I want to go right.
Bro's already getting heckled. Healthcare in the bill you just passed. The big, beautiful bill that's cut, like, increasing spending by an insane amount and then also simultaneously cutting the shit out of Medicaid. That bill? Is that the bill you're talking about? Presumably this is not, yeah, this isn't gonna go well.
Right into this bill because I know this is something a lot of people have questions about, and quite frankly, from where I sit, there's been a lot of misinformation out there about the bill. Okay, let's start here. The first thing, and for those...
I appreciate that the people of Nebraska straight up came to this town hall to boo the shit out of this person.
Watching tonight. For those watching tonight, and I know we have a television audience out there that's also wanting to hear answers to some of these questions. So in deference to them, please let me tell you why I voted the way I voted, and then we will take your questions, and you will have an opportunity to get answers. First thing, we have two separate programs. We've got
Yo, people are pissed. pissed. Holy shit. Oh my God. They're so mad.
Medicaid, and we've got Medicare. There's a lot of people in this country that don't know the difference, and I'm not saying it for any reason, between Medicare and Medicaid. So let's...
I'm not calling you stupid, just to be clear. I'm just saying you're stupid. Oh, this is not a good start. This is not a good start at all.
Let's review. With Medicare, it's available to people over the age of 65 for their health care, regardless of their income. This is a promise and a contract between you as an American and your country, and we did not make changes to the Medicare program. So if you're watching this, and let's say you're 78 years old and you hear Medicare, you need to know you will not see any changes. And the reason I think this is important.
I could be wrong, but it sounds to me like the audience doesn't believe him. It sounds like they are calling bullshit on that statement. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that.
And this is because I know there are questions about Medicaid, and we're going to get to those. But there are a lot of very good people of advanced age that hear some of the rhetoric about the bill, whether it's true or not, and they think it's going to take their health care, and they're 78 years old, they're on Medicare, and if you're watching tonight and you get Medicare, you do not have to worry about changes to your program, okay?
And where are they getting this misinformation from, sir? Could it be the Fox of News? Let's see. Medicare isn't changing, allegedly. Let's see. 7 Medicare changes happening right now in 2025. So, this is a big fat fucking lie. There was an Inflation Reduction Act in 2022. Then there was, in 2023, capping insulin costs. Then in 2024, they expanded the eligibility. And the prices are supposed to take effect in 2026. Then in 2025, on January 1st, the capping out-of-pocket spending to cover drugs at $2,000 a year. Here, let me show you, let me, actually show you this. Here you go. So, the takeaway changes from the Inflation Act, lower out-of-pocket limit, weight loss drugs coverage, Medicare average plan may not stay the same, mid-year statements. So there are definitively changes happening, and particularly things like this are going to basically mean you get less because they're putting a cap on it. So this is just the first thing that I saw too. This isn't like me looking super duper fucking hard to double check this, but seems like this guy's full of shit.
So let's go to the next slide. Here's the other thing that you have to know, and I cannot take credit for this. Your governor, Jim Pillen, and your legislature, your governor and your legislature.
Second thing he does is pass the buck. All right.
I think you're going to like what I'm about to say. They passed a bill to get Nebraska's hospitals $700 million in Medicaid funding in the coming fiscal year. As your congressman, As your congressman, I worked to help get the CMS application approved by CMS, Center for Medicaid and Medicare, and it was approved in June before the big, beautiful bill was passed. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that St. Elizabeth's is going to get an additional $24 million next year, and that money is not tied to fees for service. It means the Norfolk Hospital is going to get $10 million. It means that the West Point
That amount of money is so small. I don't know how to express, like, how do I explain the range of money that we're talking about? Like, what's a good way to put this? Your hospital is getting less money than Elon Musk used to buy Twitter. Than one guy spent to buy one social media platform. I don't know how to explain this any better. Like relative cash flow is, I think, something that can be very difficult to conceptualize, because when you start getting to like large enough numbers, like it stops meaning anything, right? It's because you have to compare it relative to make it mean anything. So Elon Musk spent 44 point some odd $billion on Twitter and then proceeded to drive it into the ground. So if Nebraska is getting 500 million, it's not even close to the amount for an entire year. That's not even close to the 44 billion. So I don't that's for the whole state. Like, what the fuck?
Hospital is going to get $3.5 million. So when you talk about Medicaid, I can tell you, we're going to see an influx of money into Nebraska hospitals. The other thing I want to share is that there was talk about a medical clinic in Curtis closing. First of all, it was not a hospital. Second of all, it had 4 patients a day. And third of all, the bill had not even been signed yet, and any changes don't apply until 2027.
Should I set the goal for opening Spice Bottle today? You tell me.
The other thing that the big beautiful bill did, the only way we're going to get through tonight is if I get a chance to tell you why I voted, because ultimately I represent...
He's already like, no, guys, no, it's your fault. You guys aren't letting me talk. You guys aren't letting me lie to you. Just sit there and let me lie to you for like 20 minutes before I take your questions, which is actually the reason why I'm here. Yeah.
...sent you, and you will have your say. Okay. The other thing that we worked on very hard, and something that I personally invested a lot of time into, was making sure we could get a $50 billion fund, a $50 billion fund for rural hospitals.
You know what this sounds like to me? You guys ever watched the movie The Wedding Singer? It reminds me of when Adam Sandler's character is having like the breakdown, and he's like, well, I have a microphone, and you don't, so you will listen to every damn word I have to say. That's what this sounds like to me.
$50 billion. Places like Scotts Bluff and David City and Falls City and Pawnee City. I am planning to bring CMS officials to Lincoln, to Nebraska, so that our Nebraska hospitals can tell them about some of the challenges that we do have. The next slide talks about the 2 big changes. The next slide talks about 2 big changes. to the Medicaid program.
Oh my god, they're pissed.
One of those changes is that if you are able to work and you are able-bodied, you have to work. If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care. Okay.
Choose to work is doing, the word choose is doing so much heavy lifting here. Holy shit.
So here's a question. Do you think that people who are 28 years old that can work and refuse to work should get free health care? I don't think that a majority of Nebraskans agree with you.
You can't just say that. This is your town hall where you brought all these people in to then say that, hey, this is what you voted for, and then they're saying no, and you're like, well, actually, I think it is. Oh my god. Free Luigi. Oh my good lord. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. This is like fucking spin at its finest.
The other thing that I think is important to remember is that any changes we make to the Medicaid program does not involve anybody that's disabled, that is of senior age and unable to work, anybody that is pregnant, or the vulnerable. Those are important things to know.
Okay, but what does vulnerable mean? The fuck does that mean? I mean, pregnant is pretty straightforward, and I guess, I mean, getting disabled and getting yourself disabled coverage in America or in the United States is an absolute nightmare shit show. I know multiple people who have tried to go through that process, and they have to hire lawyers and all kinds of nonsense like that. Like, yeah, you have to get like representation to like figure that, like. So, you know, it's not exactly that simple. Yeah, I put a lot of work into this, whatever that means, and what is work. Like, there's lots of unpaid labor in the United States, right? So what counts as unpaid labor? Like, does that matter? Does that count? What about if you pay taxes? So, you know, all those immigrants that do jobs that keep getting arrested at those jobs that they're doing that they're paying taxes at, that don't get medical coverage but pay into medical care.
The other thing in the bill that I think you need to know is if we didn't pass the big beautiful bill, it would have been a $1,600 tax increase to every Nebraska family.
Oh my god, we're back to math again. All right. Do you think that an extra $1,600 in a year is gonna be enough to rebalance out the cost of living? Or do you think $1,600 a year is enough to cover medical coverage for somebody with diabetes? Because the answer is fucking no. You have any idea how expensive it is to be in the hospital if you're having a child in the United States, if you're giving birth? Because if you don't know the answer to that, you should go look it up right now. I'll wait. No, I'm not. I'm not going to wait. Just pause the video and go look.
That is a true middle-class tax cut. Next slide, please. These are the other important parts of the One Big Beautiful Bill.
This guy is completely ignoring that this scaling on the tax cut too, right? So like the scaling on the tax cut is like if you're middle class, you're getting $1,600 a year. Okay, great, cool. Thanks. But it scales upwards, so the more money you make, the more of a tax cut you get. So it's not a middle class tax cut. It is a shuffling of bottom wealth to top wealth.
Next slide, please.
Tax the
No
rich.
taxes on overtime. We've had this conversation before, as I recall, and we shared this in Columbus. If we adopted the Democrats' plan to tax the rich, if we adopted the Democrats' plan in the last Congress to tax the rich, it would generate $50 billion.
It would generate way more than that. But regardless, you can tax the rich without using the Democrats' plan. You could make your own plan about how you want to tax the rich. So if you're saying and suggesting, which it seems to be you're implying, that it wouldn't generate enough money to be worth taxing rich people, then make your own plan that taxes more and brings in more revenue then. Just saying.
Does not take us close to where we're going, and it cuts job creation. It cuts business creation. It cuts the ability for employers to invest in their businesses.
That's just not true. That's not how economics works. I'm not gonna go into it here. I'll probably have to talk about it more, and I've talked about it in the past. But it's not how economics works.
The other thing that I think is important, obviously, increase the standard deduction, child tax credit, and one of the things that I know Lincoln and the city of Lincoln is working very hard on, especially Mayor Larian. Sir, I get that you want to have this conversation with me, but there's a lot of people here that waited in line that want to hear the answers.
You're not actually answering anything, though. You're passing the buck and you're making excuses and you're just lying. So people are mad. Surprised. Good, they should be. And yeah, drink for Reagan.
All right, next slide.
It's a shame we
Something
can't see
that
the
I also
slide.
think is important, if you're a farmer or rancher in this state, you want to be able.
Did he explain why he voted for the bill yet?
To pass your farm on to the next generation, and that means you can't sometimes pass the farm on to the next generation without paying a massive tax. So we upped this federal state tax exemption. And by the way, there's a lot of farmers.
You upped the state federal tax exemption? That benefits rich people. That's just a thing that overtly benefits rich people more than any fucking farm owner. Jesus Christ.
In this state that don't have a lot of cash in the bank, but they've got a lot of land that they will never, ever, ever sell because that land is their family. That land is their family, and we protected that. And that matters in Nebraska. And the last thing that I want to say, we increased the safety net for farmers at $59 billion. And finally, an additional $2.7 billion for disaster assistance.
Again, I would like to point out $2.5 billion for an entire state is still a fraction of the amount of money that one guy spent on one fucking social media website.
Those are the things that I wanted to share with you as to why I voted for the One Big Beautiful Bill.
And yes, land over people. Land ownership over people is what this is.
I truly believe that this bill will allow America to experience growth, that it will allow our communities to thrive.
How and why?
That it will spark our economy, that it will help farmers and ranchers, that it will take care of the vulnerable, and more than anything, I truly believe this bill protects Medicaid for the future.
Wait, where? He didn't bring protecting Medicaid up at all.
We protected Medicaid. We protect.
Oh my god, the people in this room are pissed. The Nebraskans who showed up are so fucking angry. And good. They should be mad. They should be angry.
Medicaid. Nebraska hospitals now have the money to be able to operate, whether it's David City or West Point.
No, they don't. Go look at the actual expenses of a hospital and see what the costs are. And you tell me if you think that the amount of money they injected is even, like, a drop in the bucket. That's not, like, that's enough to pay, like, one worker for a year.
Or Lincoln or Omaha. And I'm here tonight to tell you that's why I voted for that bill. All right. With that, Kim, let's go ahead and take questions.
Okay.
And here's what I would say. I totally understand that you may disagree with what I'm saying, but if somebody has a question, let's let them ask the question without interrupting them.
Dude, they're not here to interrupt the questions. They're interrupting you. Look at him try to be on some kind of moral high horse. What a fucking clown. Look at this fucking screenshot. Hold on, I'm gonna get this for you guys. Hold up. Here you go. Let's make that big for a second. Feel free to screen grab that. I'll turn this off for a sec. There you go. Hear me out. I feel like looking at this, he's about to tell me what his, like, his hear me out sex fantasy, or Shrek is attractive, hear me out. Okay. Alright, keep going.
Because they are standing in line, they are here to get an answer, and we will do it.
Okay, so we'll start here with the questions. Congressman, we'll start here with the first question.
Okay.
All right.
I need you to be calm for just a second. I need to be able to hear the question. So.
Okay, first question. How could you vote for the big beautiful bill knowing that it would increase the national debt by $3 to $4 trillion? And then please don't say that economic growth will cover it.
Please don't say that economic growth will cover it. I like that they put the caveat in there. Very funny.
Well, the reality is, we need to increase our GDP in order to get out of the mess we're in with the debt. So
What? What? What kind of answer is that? We need to increase our GDP to get out of the trouble with the debt we're in. Therefore, we raised the debt higher? Huh? What? Huh? There's a really big problem with using GDP as a measuring stick. Like, using it as one piece that you're using to measure is fine. Like, using it as a data point is a fine thing to do, but it can't be your only data point. And the problem right now is that a lot of countries are using that as, like, their main or sole, in the United States case, data point to be making these decisions. But there's a really big problem specifically with using this data point in the United States, and it's because so much of the money is sequestered in a small percentage of the individuals that live in the country. Right? So out of the top 10 richest individuals in the world, 9 of them are United States citizens. 9 of them are from the United States. And so that combined wealth all happening in the United States that is made up of nine people, this is where you get like your 1%, your 5%. So you can say that there's a lot of money in the United States, but that doesn't mean anything, and there's no economic growth if the money isn't moving and the money is stagnating amongst a handful, and it's basically the money is inbreeding, and like it's just dirty money. So it doesn't do anything for your actual country, it doesn't do anything for the people who live in your country, which is, you know, the whole point of money. So like, meh. The United States is full of dragons, and those dragons need to be dealt with. Hire some adventurers.
got almost $2 trillion out of federal spending, plus the extension of the tax cuts, plus the no tax on tips. So let's go back to President Obama in 2012. You're going to agree with me when I'm done. So back.
I doubt that. You think we're gonna agree with him when he's done? I don't think we're gonna agree with him when he's done.
Back in 2012, President Obama extended the Bush tax cuts. And the CBO baseline score was calculating the tax cuts going away, and the Obama White House said, no, we disagree with that. So many of you that are in the Democratic Party have to look at how consistent we are and where we're at with the CBO. And the reality is, when President Trump passed the 2017 tax cuts, we saw
Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. Obama's way back here. We're in Trump's second term.
explosive growth in this country. We saw explosive growth. COVID slowed our progress for obvious reasons.
Bro, no. You don't want to bring up COVID, dude. Hey, you guys remember that time when Trump ate a memo from his desk? Like, ate a piece of paper? Do you think that's what happened to the Epstein files that were on Pam Bondi's desk? Did Trump consume them? I'm just imagining, like, this stack of Epstein files and Trump's just taking a fucking chomp out of it.
But
this is relying on the concept that people don't understand that economics happens over time. So there are things that would have happened in Trump's term that were happening because of things that Obama set in motion, and there are things that were happening in Biden's term that were set in motion by Trump, and there are things that are happening in Trump's term that were set forward by Biden. Like, there's things happen and time exists, and sometimes things happen here that were set into motion over here. It's magic. Oh no, people are mad about my hair. Oh, the hair, not the hair. Yeah.
the way CBO is scoring this was objected to President Obama in 2012, and it's being objected to by President Trump and the United States Congress Republicans in 2025.
Next question. Okay. Why did you cut SNAP and healthcare research?
Yeah, I feel like he didn't actually answer the question. He said his answer to the question is, why did you increase the debt ceiling by so many trillions of dollars? And his response was, we need to increase GDP to get out of our debt problem, but therefore we raised the debt. And then he just went on a fucking ramble about Obama. So he never answered the question, and his answer was, we need to raise GDP to get out of the debt thing, so we made the debt higher. What? Huh? Why? Why are you dumb?
We do not have unlimited money in the United States. In 2019, our country spent $60 billion on SNAP. During COVID, that number went to $100 billion.
Yeah, it's almost like a pandemic and a global crisis and economic turmoil due to that crisis is the rainy day money you're supposed to be saving. Oh my god. stupid.
And for good reason. I mean, during COVID, we had a situation where we had a worldwide pandemic. We had people that couldn't work. There was a need for extra food, supplemental nutrition programs. What we did, this Congress, two things. We returned our spending on SNAP to our pre-pandemic level of 2019 at $60 billion. And we also said to states that have low error rates, and Nebraska has low error rates, that there's going to be incentive for states that do it right, and there's going to be a disincentive for states that have a high error rate. Now, you may disagree with the actual number.
You're gonna punish people and starve them because their state government made a mistake? What? How is that reasonable? Why does that sound reasonable at all to you? What an insane thing to say.
Number we arrived at, but going from 60 billion one year to 100 billion the next year, that was the COVID pandemic. The pandemic.
Who, by the way, is arguing that the United States has unlimited money? I don't think that's an argument that anybody is making or anybody's actually saying. Like the problem is the distribution of the wealth, right? I mean, that's what I said earlier. There's so much money that is stagnating. And stagnating money means you don't have, if the money isn't flowing, it's useless. Like, it's not doing anything. And if the money's not doing anything, there's no point in it, right? The money needs to be moving. If your money is not moving, then you're not doing it right. That's bad economics, right? Now, it doesn't mean you can never pool amounts of money for an amount of time to get a certain amount and then utilize that money in X, Y, or Z place. But the point is that you've shored up or you've dammed up this amount of money so you can use it to do things and stuff. So, like, it's so insane to me that, like, there seems to be this really serious, in the MAGA movement and in the United States politics, that the main issue seems to be that these people care a lot about the economy and care a lot about, like, money flow, but have literally no grasp of, like, basic economic and business concepts and standards these are global standards. This is like business 101. This is economics 101. This is not complicated. I'm not saying anything crazy out of pocket here. This is like the shit you learn by just, glancing around. If your money doesn't move, then it's not doing anything. And if it's not doing anything, it's useless. And if your money is stagnating for long periods of time, it's going to harm you. Think of it like blood in your body. If the blood in your body isn't moving and it's stagnating, it's poisoning you and it's going to kill you. It needs to be flowing. It needs to be moving. You need blood in your brain. But if the blood doesn't leave your brain and cycle, it's going to kill you.
Is gone. People have gone back to work. We are now at the 2019 levels, which I think...
Okay, sorry, I know I interrupted him really fast right there, but if you want to say people are going back to work while the job market in America is crashing and the number of people being hired is lower and lower and lower and lower, while you also have farms and areas suffering from a serious lack of workers because you're kidnapping them and putting them in concentration camps, I don't know what to tell you. So I'm gonna tell you need to slow your roll on that one. Slow your roll on that one. And I'm gonna pull something up that I saw on Blue Sky yesterday. People have been posting, I don't know if I reposted it or not. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. It was a comparison between Canadian job growth. The Trump administration just revised their own job numbers down by 258,000 1,000 in the last 2 months. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, it's just gonna take me a sec. Hold on. That's funny. I can't show you my blue sky while I'm scrolling it because, you know, there's it's too much not safe for work things. Oh, by the way, for anybody who cares, Carney was at Pride in British Columbia this week. So, if anybody wants to talk about the collapse of society because gay people are, you know, existing as they always did, but are, you know, existing normally, like people, grow up. Get over yourself. Oh, come on, where is it? Here it is. Sorry, it took me a second. First quarter of 2025, GDP growth 2.2%, inflation 1.7%, 8.7 billion deficit, 38,000 jobs added in June, versus the United States with a GDP growth of 1.25%, an inflation of 3.6%, and 838 billion deficit with an added 37,000 jobs in June, and noting, of course, at the bottom, the population size difference. The population in Canada is 40 million, and the United States is 340 million, roughly. So, if you want to go ahead and double check these things, like, definitely, don't take the meme's word for it and go ahead and double check it. But people in Canada last year were seriously complaining about the inflation rate, and having it down and having it so low already is actually very good. But yeah, go ahead and double check this. But let's let this guy talk a little bit more. I guess.
Are acceptable. Next question.
Okay. And what is the national debt ceiling limit? And what is the current national debt?
Our current national debt is approaching $37 trillion. $37 trillion. In fact, to make that real for all of you, every Nebraska family pays about $3,000 of your hard-earned wages every year to service that debt. That's a kitchen table issue. That is a kitchen table issue. Every single Nebraska family pays $3,000 to service the debt.
Okay, we'll go to the audience for their first questions.
Okay, let's let her speak here, please.
All right. Our first question comes from this fine lady.
Hi, I implore you.
That's a pretty ridiculous thing to try to run with. To be like, oh, there's $30 trillion, approaching $30 trillion in debt, and then also going around and saying that, oh, that means that you're paying $3,000 a year. Okay, but you're giving everybody a $1,000 tax cut this year. So how are you going to service the debt that you're increasing if you're giving everybody a $1,600 tax cut? And yeah, it's very much it's playing a numbers game to try to emotionally manipulate people.
to be quiet so that we can hear his responses. Remember,
Ah,
Mike's
boo,
coming up
this
for
lady,
re-election, and we'd really like to know what his responses are.
It would be great if he actually answered any of the questions so far, then maybe I would care.
Rosina, I write you emails with concerns of your voting behavior regarding Trump and his actions. You support him, especially confirming the cabinet. Your responses are riddled with misinformation and lies. I fact check you, and then I send the responses back. And I get crickets. So I actually asked Deb through Carter, thank you, Carter, for answering the phone and being so very patient. I asked, who does the oversight for the fact checking? Well, Deb Shore does. Deb Shore's a good human. I've known her for a long time. But our oversight of these emails need to be fact checked. If I am fact checking them because they are wrong in your response, I send them back to you and I get crickets, I get kind of bummed. And this is not about partisan, this is about issues, because we're about to lose our democracy.
So what's the question? Like, I don't disagree with what this lady's getting at. She's like, listen, I'm trying to communicate with you. You're giving me bullshit in response. I'm telling you what you're telling me is bullshit, and I'm showing how it's bullshit. What are you gonna do about it? Like, do you understand that these people don't care about fact-checking, right? Like, what's the question? Is your question, why aren't you answering me when I fact-check you? Is your question, what are we going to change about the process so that way you have correct information initially? Like, I don't...
Well, first of all,
I mean, quite frankly, it's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing, right? Like, he should be embarrassed.
I would tell you, I totally agree with you. Carter Smith.
Yeah, asking about the accountability. Yeah, is your question, who are we going to hold accountable for making sure that the information you're responding with is correct and correcting it if the information is wrong? Why are you ignoring correct information? And how are we going to hold you accountable to that correct and incorrect information? That's a great question. If that's what she's trying to ask, fantastic.
From Shelby is a wonderful person, and Deb Shore does a lot of things in the office, but I don't want to put that all on her. There are people in my Washington office that also assist me as I write back to you. I don't know what emails you sent specifically because
There are plenty of them.
I'm sure. And here's what I would say to you. You are right as a constituent to want to go through this with me, and I will, with your help, talk to Deb. We will go through your emails, and we will go through my responses. You can come to my office, and we will sit down and go through every one of them. It may take...
The one guy in the back said exactly what I want. Just tell the truth. Oh, no. She's not asking you to address every single one of her emails. She's asking you why the fuck you're bullshitting her, and when she corrects you, why don't you fucking answer and then send correct information?
Take me about 2 weeks
Sir?
because I need to get all that done, okay?
Sir, you will need to do that with a lot of people.
That's a good answer. Because now she's trying to make it not about her and her emails specifically. It's about his generally putting out bad fucking emails.
Well, here's the deal. You came tonight. You asked me a question. I'm willing to do it with you because...
I'm only willing to do it with you because you showed up and said something to me directly. As if there's not like 20 other people in that room who have done the exact same thing as her, and this isn't a town hall where you're supposed to be addressing everybody. Oh my god, what a stupid thing to say. Like the limits. You know what would be really funny? If people were organized enough, it would be really funny if everybody now that got questions, every single one of them said the exact same thing she did. So this guy had to commit to going through everybody's fucking email that asked a question. He's like, come to my office so I can lie to you to your face, brush you off, and then not give a shit about actually putting out proper information. That's what he's doing.
You matter. I represent you. I'm happy to sit down with you. I will add one thing. The United States House of Representatives does not confirm the cabinet. That belongs to the U.S. Senate, just for clarity, okay? Thank you very much for being here. Connect with Deb.
That doesn't mean you have no involvement, though.
Happy to sit down with you.
Congressman Flood, I come from 11 generations of military citizens who have served this nation. I've seen the long-term effects of service on veterans' health and on well-being. This budget reconciliation bill that you support threatens to cut all of their benefits and support programs that go along with that. How can you stand behind this bill that erodes the very services that people like me, my family, our families, and younger vets coming home today rely on to live decent, healthy lives?
Well, first of all,
go to work, you leech. That's the answer. The answer is they don't give two shits. You need to sacrifice everything for Big Brother Trump.
thank you for your service to the country, and thank you to the generations of service to the country.
Please,
at my first town hall, I had the opportunity to. At the first town hall, the main issue that I took away from that was concerns about veterans' benefits. Not only
that was the main thing that you took away from the town hall you did before the bill that you voted for, and then you proceeded to vote for the bill that cuts all of this veteran affairs stuff. Wow.
in the proposed bill, but just with the new secretary coming in. I met personally with the Veterans Secretary. We went over everything, and I will tell you, our Veterans Affairs are going to be better than they've been in a long time under this president. The Secretary, we sat down for the better part of an hour, and I would have to get my notes from that meeting, but I asked a lot of questions that came from that Columbus town hall. And when the time is right, and I have that in front of me, I will go through that. But I truly believe that number one, our veterans served our country. They were made a promise that we will provide their health care. I have a record of supporting, as a member of the legislature, our state veterans homes, and I have a record in our Congress of supporting veterans, and I will be happy to get more information from the Secretary. If you have specific programs you're concerned about, please reach out to Taylor and get us that information. Thank you.
That doesn't answer the question. You already voted for the bill. You already voted for the bill that's cutting these things, and he's saying, how could you do this and vote for this? And his answer is, I have a record of doing cool things allegedly. Okay, but this goes against the record. It doesn't matter what you did before, because it's not relevant. You're cutting it now in this other place. And on top of that, it doesn't answer the question. Why did you do this for this bill this time? In fact, if you have a history of voting more on behalf of veterans, then why would you go against that to vote for this bill? It actually makes the question more poignant. But also, the fuck are you talking about? Answer the question! He's fucking striking out. He's 0 for 0 right now, 0 for 3. He hasn't answered a single question yet.
We have a next question right here.
My question is fiscal. With $450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and $600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
This is a very fair question. Like, okay, if you want to take like the rightful aggression out of the question, this is actually a really fair question. Asking how much the taxpayers have to pay for ICE and how much, like, what that looks like in the long term is a really, really good fucking question. And her outrage is on point. Love it. Love it. Get him! Kick his ass! Did you bring your gun? By the way, the answer to how much it costs for fascism in a country is just a matter of how much is ammunition.
Americans.
Oh, what is FEMA? FEMA is the emergency money. So like when there's a flood or when there's like a tornado or like there's a hurricane or something, FEMA is like the federal emergency money for dealing with that. Which Trump has threatened that if states don't bend the knee, they don't get FEMA. And he has followed through on that at least one time, but I believe it was a flood that he refused to give the FEMA money for it.
Went to the polls in November, and they had a choice between a Democratic candidate that had an open border, no enforcement, fentanyl.
No, that's just not true. The border thing, the border bit, that's a lie.
All drugs, human trafficking, and they had a choice between that and a candidate that said, close the border.
What do you think human trafficking is when you abduct people off of the street and illegally fly them out to foreign countries? That's human trafficking, guys.
Illegal immigrants.
That's human trafficking. So the government is doing human trafficking in the United States right now. I don't know how this answers the question, though.
Drugs, human trafficking. And they had a choice between that and a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the...
I would like to point out again, the fentanyl at the border between Canada and America, or from the United States, is coming from the United States and getting got from the United States into Canada.
Drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for.
But ICE is doing crime and violence on citizens. And doing human trafficking on citizens. So even if they voted for a candidate who was on a platform against these things, if that candidate proceeds to start doing those things, it kind of flies in the face of the entire fucking argument, doesn't it?
Americans voted for a border that is secure. And I support the president enforcing our immigration laws, which, by the way, were written by Congress.
That wasn't the question. It was a fiscal question. They're asking how much money it's costing the taxpayers to follow through with this plan. So you didn't answer the fucking question. Oh dear. Poor guy. Look at him floundering. His response was propaganda.
Okay, next question. So how can you justify taking health care away from 78,000 Nebraskans?
As I explained before, when you have an additional $700 million coming into the state of Nebraska for Nebraska hospitals, we have a state where our infrastructure is going to be supported, is going to be funded, and is going to be available for the people that need it. If you are able to work and you're 28 years old and you choose not to work, you don't get free health care in America.
But being young doesn't exclude you from conditions. I'm putting this up, by the way. This is the number of questions he's answered. So far, he's 0-4. He's just gotten to 0-5. Your age does not dictate how healthy you are. That's not how that works. It's also like to try to pretend that the amount of money that he's bringing in is relatively relevant to the amount of people that need it and the amount of money that needs to be spent for it is fucking ridiculous. Like it's apples and oranges, right? Here's my main question. Do they not know this? Sorry, this is Tom from the chat is saying, here's my main question. Do they not know this is the reaction they are going to get? They are so surrounded by DC, yes, men and women, that they are so insulated from are they so insulated from their voters? So you mean like Republican representatives? I don't know. I think they know. I just think they want to try and spin. I think this is performative. I suspect. And here's the thing, your healthcare costs can still be unreasonably high compared to the job you're doing. Right? So, like, if I work a job and I work 40 hours a week, that 40 hours a week might not still be enough to cover whatever I need coverage for. Younger people are much more capable of functioning with conditions. It depends. It depends on the condition, right? That's the point. That's the problem, is that it's incredibly relative, right? It's such an incredible variable that to just try and deal with all of it in one stroke isn't going to work and isn't effective or efficient or economically sound. So what you need to do is you need to have what you end up with. So let's take Canada, for example. The way Canada does it is what ends up happening is everybody is paying into this, and then whoever gets it and needs it gets it, right? So if more younger people are able to work more and able to pay into it, then they are also able to pull out of it, and so are people who have already done their time working, right? So, there you go. This is seeming to, like, try to frame people who want to use Medicaid as bad people who are, just don't want to work a job. And I think that's a little bit silly. And the reason I think that's a little bit silly is because why are you targeting Medicaid then? Right? Why is Medicaid the thing you're targeting if you want people to be motivated to work a job? You're trying to punish people with disease, and you're trying to punish people with medical issues because they can't get the care, right? You're saying, well, listen, you didn't work, or you're not currently working. You might have worked in the past, but you're not currently working. So because you're not currently working in a way that we believe is satisfactory, you don't get any coverage, regardless of what you did before. So you can have your disease. You can die from a fever. You can pay for that with your life, which I think is not only absurd but a cruel position to take. Like, that's just mean. Like, it's inhumane. So why wouldn't you target something else? If you want to motivate people to work, why wouldn't you enable them instead of disabling them? Why wouldn't you do something positive instead of something negative? Right? Are you suggesting that UBI would solve the problem that starving us isn't? I mean, maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But, like, take a look at any other country, right? Stop looking at only the United States, right? There are other countries that do things in different ways. Canada, for example, does have the 40-hour work week, right? And we have medical coverage. And it works. And it functions. Canada was listed recently as the highest educated country in the world. I think 40 hours is too high. I agree with that, but it currently is, and it functions. In France, I think the hour's 30, is it 30 or 33? 30, it's lower. And guess what? It works. Right? So if you can like turn around and look around at other countries, and other countries have these things, and the United States is so wealthy and doesn't have these things, what's the disconnect? Right? Canada has issues with healthcare. Yeah, oh yeah, Canada absolutely has issues with its healthcare. However, the issues in Canada's healthcare system tends to come from the Conservatives cutting its funding and being fiscally irresponsible, because Conservatives in Canada are fiscally irresponsible. It's 35 hours in France? Oh, there you go. So, people can work... Wait, all right, what is this? What is this? People can work more than 40 hours a week. How is this a concept people aren't familiar with? Of course they could. Of course people can work more than 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week isn't a hard line. Overtime exists. What are you talking about? Sorry, you lost me. I'm not sure what the fuck you mean. There are people who work 60 hours a week on average in Canada. Like, that happens, particularly during busy seasons and stuff, and you get compensated overtime for it. It's not that you can't work. It's not like a hard limit that you're just like, oh no, it's 40 hours, get out of here. No, it's 40 hours unless we want to pay you overtime and you agree to it. That's a bizarre statement that I'm not really sure what your point is. I work a lot of hours. France has a lower economy than the United States. A lower? What do you mean? When you say a lower economy, can you elaborate? What does that mean? How are you defining lower economy? Are you like, what is that? Like, I legitimately don't know what you mean when you say lower economy, because that's not a term. We should reward laziness. Lower GDP per capita? Maybe. I don't know what they mean. I don't know what lower economy is. Their GDP is lower. Okay, and we're back to the problem we talked about before. You can't use GDP as the only metric when you're talking about a country's economy. If we want to compare economies, we have to you have to start talking about and comparing multiple things: education level, the happiness index, the cost of living, cost of medical care. So if you're going to talk about, and then you have to talk about like generalized wealth. And so when I say generalized wealth, what I mean is I'm talking about how much is the average person making compared to their cost of living. So in the United States, minimum wage is 7.25, I believe, in most states. So if minimum wage is 7.25, how much does it cost to rent an apartment? The cost of renting an apartment on average in the United States, the median, because I'm talking about medians. I shouldn't say average, I mean medians. If the median for affording an apartment in the United States is higher or equal to the minimum wage at working 40 hours a week, then you can't afford anything else. And if you can't afford anything else, it means your standard of living is low, because you have to start including internet, car, food, electricity, right? So if you want to talk about whether or not a country is for example, right now, United States is not economically stable. To think that it is absurd. Like, that's absurd. The United States right now is incredibly unstable economically. If you don't believe me, look at the stock market. Right? So, if you want to go ahead and discuss about whether or not the United States right now has a better economy than France, France's economy is stable. It's fluctuating because of what the United States is doing, because of what Trump and actions Trump has been taking to attack other countries economically. But it is far more stable than the United States is. France is. France is more stable. Canada is more stable. Easily. Like, not even a competition. And one of the things about an economy that makes it and gives it value, so like, for example, the American dollar has value and is utilized because it is stable. But right now it is not stable. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing so many countries talking about moving away from using the dollar as the standard. And if people move away, if countries move away from using the United States dollar as the standard, then you run into this very big issue that the United States is going to have, where they no longer have the amount of power globally on an economic level that they did. That's going to go away, and it's going to go away real fast. And they're already losing. That thing is already going away. Like I said earlier, and I'm sorry, Spec missed it. I kind of already went over this, and I've gone over it a couple of times before. But this is, again, economics 101. Like, this is not complicated. This is pretty straightforward things that you like are generally well-known pieces of information. Right? So, for example, if you want to talk about where people would rather live, right, to delineate whether or not a country is valued, right? You will, and you look at America, you look at the United States, you are going to see a massive drop, right? A massive drop. Okay, what is this video you're sharing? Oh, the stupidity of GDP per capita. Yeah. GDP, it's not, it's justify the metric, I think. If you're going to, let's start with that. Why don't we start with that and say, okay, tell you what, if you want to use GDP, right, per capita, as your metric to define what is and is not a good economy, why? Why is this a good metric to use? Explain. My girlfriend is moving to your glorious nation soon. I may join her if we vibe in person. Oh, bless. You should do it anyway. Get up here. I salute thee. All right, let's keep going with this. I feel like I've sufficiently answered the question.
If you are in this country illegally, you do not get free health care in America.
How did you find out if somebody is in... Okay, two things about that. One, even if you're in the country legally as an immigrant working, a lot of the times you're paying into Medicaid and you're not getting it. You pay taxes, but you don't get access to Medicare and Medicaid. Right? Second off, the people being detained by ICE are being detained without due process, which means you don't know if they're illegal or not. So how do you know? And what free healthcare are you referring to? Nobody is getting any free healthcare in America. You might get a deduction, you might get a subsidy, but you're certainly not getting it free.
Okay, next question is, economic development depends on energy development. The fastest, cheapest resources to bring online are wind, solar, and storage. Plus, we can...
I like the camera guy waving in the background.
We can produce it right here in Nebraska. What are you doing to promote our clean energy industry?
Good question. I think that's a great question. I believe in an all-of-the-above strategy for energy, which means nuclear as well. I agree with nuclear.
Hey, look, he said something that people agree with. Yippee.
As I'm from a part of the state where we have a lot of wind-generated power, I'm from a part of the state where we have solar power. There has to be a balance. And in our state, we have to make sure, and I love the battery storage idea. I think when battery storage becomes relevant and it works and it's there for Nebraskans, well, the technology isn't...
Tell me you don't know what you're talking about batteries without telling me you don't know what you're talking about.
The point where it can be used all the time. But here's the challenge. With artificial intelligence coming on the scene, it's going to take a lot more energy for us to meet...
Machine learning. It's machine learning. Call it machine learning.
Our energy needs to be able to remain competitive with artificial intelligence. China is bringing on a whole bunch of new energy using coal. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen in America, but I'm saying we have to up our energy game. We have to up our energy game, which means small nuclear reactors, which I've been supportive since I've been in the legislature.
Then why did you vote for a bill that is specifically against those things? You're saying you're pro these things, but you voted for the bill that is against these things.
Permitting nuclear power plants, which has been very difficult. Wind and solar is always part of that array of opportunity. And not shutting down our coal plants when they provide consistent baseload generation of power all the time. So I think that's a very good question. And as Americans,
I think I missed a question that he asked. I think we're on 7 now, because this doesn't answer the question either. He's just saying that he's going to keep doing the thing that he was doing and he's supportive of it, but he hasn't actually answered the question about, okay, so what are you going to do? I also don't, I'm not fucking sold on this, when it comes to changing over energy, the goal should be to move away from coal and gas in its entirety. The goal is to get away from it so that it doesn't mean never use it ever for nothing. It means that the goal is to no longer be using it in for day-to-day energy, right? For your house shouldn't be burning coal, right? Your car shouldn't be burning gasoline and shouldn't be burning coal to get the energy to charge your electric car, right? But it's a long-term goal where you still need to use coal in the intermittent time. But there needs to be a time frame where there is a clear goal of we need to be not using this by X amount of time. And the problem is what you've seen during the Trump administration is that you've seen that literally everybody else, and this is including Trump's first term, is fucking everyone else has to make up the gap for the United States. When I say everyone else, I mean every other country. China has dramatically dropped its emissions. Dramatically, and has done actually a really good job. And so just because you burn coal and use coal, if you're using it effectively and you're using it in the right way and you're using it at a rate that is reasonable, then it's not a problem. You need those coal-burning computers for AI. I know that pain, it hurts me on the inside. It hurts me on the inside. He doesn't answer the questions. Half the time he's just running back to the same old talking points. Yeah, I agree. Nuclear's too expensive. I don't think so. What makes you think that? We have nuclear energy plants in Canada, and they're incredibly effective and incredibly efficient. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're not expensive, but what makes it too expensive? Like, if you can spend money on ice, why can't you just make nuclear plants? Then again, it's a little bit unfair for me to say that as a Canadian because we have one of the purest uranium deposits on the planet. So you're gonna have to buy from us, and there's gonna be a fucking tariff on that shit.
What we need to do is we need to pick an energy policy. We need to put it in the statutes, in the code, so that industry, energy providers can count on that stability so that they can make long-term investments. The way it's gone from President Obama, he was...
And yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the goal. This is what you want. This is what you want to see. And, you could even go up in nuclear a little bit. If you were to tick this up a little bit, you'd be able to speed this switch over. But this is For the first time, most Dutch electricity comes from renewables. Like, for example, like Canada and Ontario, right? Ontario specifically, the majority of our power in Ontario comes from hydro. We literally call it hydro. It's like your bill is a hydro bill. So it's all water. So, but we're in a place that makes that available. And like, so if you look at the northern states that are like adjacent to Ontario, like, you know, I think is it Virginia that's up there? I don't know, whatever. There's like a handful of them right up there, and a lot of them buy Canadian energy, right? And it's hydro. But yeah, this is 2018, 80% of tariff electricity came from fossil fuels and renewables. Now, this is 2024. I suspect you're going to see this switch even further, and you could bring fossil fuels down even further by adding a little bit more nuclear. If you were to get nuclear to 20%, you'd be able to drop this down to 20%, and if you continue this uptick into 60 and 80%, if you were to get renewables up here to here and then nuclear up a little bit more, you'd be, yeah, and this is within 10 years. This is between, well, more than 10 years. 1985. Or you mean like when they started switching, which would have been somewhere around 2010. I'd call it 15 years for sure. But like, there's no, it's silly to me that people come in and say like, but America just can't do this. Why? Do you suck? Why can't you do it? You don't have the money? Are you too poor? Are you too stupid? Is the USA just too dumb to be able to do something that other countries can do? Oh, this, yeah, between here and here, yeah. Then yes, between, yeah. Less than 5 years. Yeah, the stock market alone isn't a good. Sorry, I think Drake is a little bit behind. Yeah, the stock market alone is not a good standard only. It's just a good reference point for what I was getting at. You're gonna be in your garage making illegal diesel fuel out of plastic bottles? Illegal diesel? Since when has anybody talked about making fossil fuels illegal? What are you talking about? That's funny. Conservatives are so cute. Republicans are adorable. They're so dumb.
He had to President Trump, to President Biden, there's been a regulatory whiplash every 4 years. Right or wrong, I'm just saying, energy providers aren't willing to make an investment when there's wild changes all the time.
Next question. Okay, next question. Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
Ooh, the Epstein files, ooh!
Let's be very clear. At the next pro forma session of the Congress, you'll find my name as a sponsor on a resolution from the House Rules Committee to release the Epstein files to protect the victims and not re-victimize them again. I support Jamie.
What do you think hiding the Epstein files and having everybody talking about it constantly is doing to the victims? Don't lie to me. Don't bullshit me. You're not protecting the victims. You're making them suffer more and pretending their victimhood doesn't exist. That's what you're doing.
Comer, who is the House's Oversight Committee chairman, subpoenaing Ms. Maxwell later this month to come testify in Washington. I am for the...
Testify to what? You already have the files. Why do you need her to come and say anything? You don't. You don't.
Release of those records.
We have a
oh, sorry. Let me clarify. Total Troon Death in the chats was saying that they're not a Republican. Sorry. Let me clarify. Why are Nazis so fucking stupid? Why are fascists fucking the dumbest people on the planet?
Question right here.
So my comments are about the debt and how we can fix our debt. So tax U.S. stock trades, raise the Social Security cap to $400,000 and the Medicare rate to $200,000, eliminate corporate subsidies, especially for the military industrial complex, appropriately staff the IRS so they can target rich tax cheats, ignore the Grover Norquist contract that you signed and raise taxes on the rich, broaden the tax base by closing loopholes, the carried interest offshore tax havens, and adjust rates on high earners. And there's more, but...
That's quite the Christmas list. You got a lot of stuff on there.
Dismissive response to legitimately good, sound economic ideas.
I will receive that as input. I don't exactly know where I'd even start answering that question other than...
I don't know where I would start answering that question on these things that are talked about in political circles and common ideas that have been successfully implemented in other countries.
We cut next to $2 trillion of federal spending with the bill we passed, and we protected Medicaid.
So what does that have to do with answering the question and doing any of these other things? What? What the fuck? That's that's such a nothing burger. That's such a nothing. Fucking wow. That's so pathetic.
Next question.
Question right here.
There's a saying that silence is complicity. Your silence tells us that you have no problem with the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the pardoning of all those involved, the big lie about the 2020 election with absolutely no evidence. These are all markers. These are markers of fascism. I have read a dozen or so books on authoritarianism and fascism. You said in Seward that you were not a fascist. Your complicity says otherwise. Have you ever...
The difference between what you say and what you do, and this is a perfect example for what we're talking about with people like Troon in the chat. What you argue for means more than what you say you are or are not, right? The way you behave says more about your position than what you claim about your position. Good call, sir.
Have you ever spoken out against this administration and its Project 2025, which is a fascist machine? Have you ever spoken out? There are a number of people, it's been reported many times in the news that there are a number of our colleagues, Republican colleagues, who do not like this man and they speak against him behind closed doors in private. Maybe you're one of...
Calling them our colleagues is really funny. I like that.
Of them. There is a thing, profiles encourage. Why don't any of you, because you know better, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? That's such a great question. What is your fucking problem, bro? I approve. Good question.
Sir, I want to be very clear with you.
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna be very clear with you. Look the fuck out.
Give me a chance to answer his question, I'd be happy to.
The accusation that what is wrong with you and why are you complicit in crime is being word salad is probably one of the funnier responses I've seen. You with a microphone, you gotta wait your turn.
Fascists don't hold town halls with open question and answer series.
But you're not answering any of the questions, including this one. Why are you complicit? Why don't you speak out against these things? What is wrong with you? I'm here holding a town hall, and after this, he's never gonna hold another town hall again. Allegedly. Oh no. Oh god. This is so. This is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. And yeah, that's not true. It's actually part of the playbook. It's actually part of the fascist playbook. To hold like kangaroo courts and like dumb shit like this is all part of, like, fucking username alone says all I need to know. Yeah, Tom. No, I know. I'm playing a little bit of a game, and I'm letting dipshits have a little bit more of a say than they ever deserved.
And I will tell you this, I support law enforcement, and what happened on January 6, 2021 was not right, and I'm on the record saying so. I'm sure.
So what? What are you gonna do? Again, we're back to you saying words doesn't actually do anything.
You can Google it, but I support law enforcement. I have prided myself on supporting law enforcement since I began as a member of the Judiciary Committee in 2005, and we started working on child sexual assault. We started working on the sex offender registry. We started working on all of these different DWI laws to make our streets safer. I believe in law enforcement.
It's all random rhetoric.
I believe in the rule of law. I believe in the rule of law.
Okay, then why are you not doing anything about it, my guy?
It matters to me. We have a lot of people that need to know when I see something that I don't agree with, I don't run to the TV station as my first stop. I try to stop it before it gets worse.
Okay, so what are you doing about the pardoning of the January 6ers without any due process via executive order for people who were rightfully fucking convicted of a coup, an attempted coup? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Try to stand up and go to work to represent the people that I have in this district. And sir, I believe in law enforcement. Thank you.
Fun fact, and yes, Smitty is right, making public statements is part of your job, actually. You should, in fact, be going to the news stations and talking about it and reprimanding and wagging your finger at Donald Trump, but you don't, which is the complicity part. It's great that you're at this town hall saying you support law enforcement, but that isn't really the main issue of January 6th, is it? It's certainly part of it, but it's not really the main problem.
Next question.
All right, we have another question right here.
I believe in fair taxation, but I disagree with personally benefiting at the expense of lower-income Nebraska citizens. Trump is a pathological liar, and citizens can't believe a word that comes from the convicted felon's mouth. Keeping Nebraska in mind, what actions are you going to support or initiate that will provide health care and food assistance for low-income families, protect Medicare, not increase the national debt, unmask the ICE terrorists, close alligator Auschwitz, and impeach Trump if he pardons Ghislaine Maxwell?
So you're after he voted for the bill that's going to do all of those things, you're asking him what he's going to do to make sure those things don't happen? His question's not wrong or bad. It's a fine thing to say. It's a fine thing to be in there. But, hey, do you guys think he's going to answer any of these questions? Hawkscall for 5 also said, this guy should play professional dodgeball. He's a master of evasion. I don't know about that one.
We protected Medicaid and saved taxpayers millions of dollars from waste, fraud, and abuse.
You literally didn't. Literally nobody has been charged with anything related to waste, fraud, and abuse. Nobody's been charged with fraud. That hasn't happened. That's a lie. That's a big old fucking lie.
This program, over the long term, will spend way too much money that we cannot afford if we don't protect it for those that need it. There are vulnerable people that need Medicaid.
But you raised the debt.
There are pregnant women that need Medicaid.
Stop talking about pregnant women. You leave us the fuck out of this. You leave women and pregnant women alone. Stop using women as a shield, as if you're protecting us. Nobody asked. Nobody fucking asked you, motherfucker.
Are folks that need to be in a nursing home that need Medicaid. We need to figure out how to keep more people in their home receiving care because we can't afford everybody going to the nursing home. So, sir, we, in my opinion, as your representative, with the $700 million coming into the state, the $50 billion rural hospital fund that we worked on, and the common sense protections.
The question is, what are you going to do to protect it? And these other things. And you're just saying nothing because you already voted for the bill. You're saying that your response is, we're not going to do anything. But you're not actually just saying that.
Of requiring people to work if they want free health care and no illegal immigrants getting health care for free, I think that's entirely reasonable.
I think that it's entirely reasonable that people should be allowed to bring fruit to throw at politicians during these town halls. I would also recommend rotten potatoes. Rotten potatoes are probably the best thing you could throw at somebody if you were gonna throw things at people. Like, if you were gonna do that, rotten potatoes are the way to go because you're never gonna get rid of the smell. They explode on impact.
Okay, next question. How are farmers supposed to survive as a result of this budget bill?
Could you repeat that?
Yes. How are farmers supposed to survive as a result of this budget bill?
Well, I'll tell you what, and I actually have this number right here. We actually, and it was in one of my slides, 1 year ago, almost to this day, we were at the State Chamber fly-in, and I was the first in our congressional delegation to sound the alarm about the farm economy. I've been talking...
Yes, this is a tomato that I grew in my backyard. And yes, it is a tomato and not an apple.
Talking to community bankers across this state that are worried that a lot...
Guys, how are the farmers going to survive? Don't worry, I've been talking to the bankers. Historically, the bankers are the ones who are out there to help farmers the most. Still all fucking words, though. No actions.
A lot of our producers, with corn at $3.80 a bushel and soybeans down from what they should be and higher inputs, are going to have trouble making their payments. And I started to talking to local bankers about what this year's operational notes renewal would be. We made it. We made it through that. Actually, that's
But
not...
that's all before the bill. You've now passed the big, beautiful bill. So what are you going to do to protect the farm? You're still not answering the fucking question, dude.
Not true. I'll talk to you about that in a second. In December, we provided $10 billion in economic aid to America's farmers, mostly for the American Southeast, Georgia, Mississippi, those states. I tell you what, though, I am worried about next year for our farmers and ranchers. I am worried about it.
Ooh, are you? Wow.
And let me tell you a couple of things that we did do. We put an addition...
No, see, you didn't answer the question. What are you going to do? Not what have you done, you fucking loser.
We put a $59 billion increase for the Ag Safety Net programs, which is a $9 billion increase over the prior fiscal year. And you're not going to like this next part, some of you, but President Biden did no trade deals in 4 years. He did not stand up for Nebraska farmers when it came to white corn and the ban for the Mexican president's wife. Farmers and ranchers in this state are going to get a far better deal from Donald Trump's trade negotiations than we ever got.
I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but it is August and Trump has gotten 0 deals done since he upended everything and completely screwed over farmers. So, saying Biden didn't do enough deals when whatever was going on was already functional versus comparing that to Trump, who now also has, if we take your word for it and say that the number is 0, then the number that Trump has is not only 0, but is a net negative so far.
Under President Biden. And this is the only way to improve our chances to grow our farm.
Smitty's got a good point. Every country in the world hates us now. Yes, correct. Nobody likes the United States right now because the only people that would like what the United States are doing are people who already hated the United States. So, you know, Russia.
Farm income.
Next question. Okay, next question.
He's got 2 trade deals almost done. Yet Trump almost has a deal with the UK and almost has a deal with China, which equals a net 0 deal so far. And it's August. 100 deals in 100 days, my guys. All right, we're going to pause it there because it's almost been 2 hours. We'll cover more of this. Not tomorrow. I'm away tomorrow. I have some shenanigans to get up to that may or may not be legal in nature. And Friday, yeah, I gotta go to court tomorrow. It'll be fun. Make sure to tune in, because it'll be a good time. I'll send a link out when that becomes available. As well as Friday is Star Trek. So, I'll be over there. I don't know if I'm going to do a stream on Friday. But Tuesday coming up will be Tisdale Tuesday over on Dapper's channel. So, go and join us over there. So, I'll be back sooner rather than later. And I'll see you. You might not see me till Monday if you don't, go look at other things. But, yeah. Bye! God, these people are fucking stupid.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. God have mercy on your soul.